Welcome to Part 3 of our Cyber Strategy Retreat Executive Roundtable series, Injecting Security into Your DevOps Strategy. I am your host, Keon Williams, Managing Director of CLASS-LLC. The original presentation of this content was delivered during a 2-hour roundtable discussion on November 11th. We are happy to make portions of the program available to the community to support knowledge sharing for information security professionals. The original event was presented with support of my friends Ron Ross, Carolyn Wong, and Stephen Gates. In Part 1, I discussed the role that governance, strategy, and strategic planning play to support the implementation of a DevOps program that supports the security goals and objectives of an organization. In Part 2, Ron shared his ideas about the critical role that system security engineering plays in DevOps and DevSecOps. For Part 3, I'm pleased to feature the insights and the wisdom from Caroline Wong, who will help us to understand the role that penetration testing plays to ensure the security of your DevOps program. Caroline Wong is the Chief Strategy Officer at Cobalt Labs. Her close and practical information security knowledge stems from broad experience as a Cigital consultant, a Symantec project manager, and day-to-day leadership roles at eBay and Zynga. She teaches cybersecurity courses on LinkedIn Learning and is a member of the Forbes Technology Council. She was named 2019 Cyber Educator of the Year in the 6th Annual Cyberjutsu Awards. She authored the popular textbook Security Metrics, A Beginner's Guide. She is also a host of one of my favorite podcasts, Humans of InfoSec, which explores the stories of real people, their work, and the impact of that work on the security industry. Without further ado, I am pleased to introduce Ms. Caroline Wong.
Keon, thank you so much. It is my pleasure to be here today. The reason I'm here talking about this topic, I actually started my DevSecOps career 15 years ago, leading information security teams at eBay and Zynga. These were some very cool places to be working in cybersecurity. In both cases, we were running online operations 24/7 with millions of simultaneous users daily. eBay had an uptime requirement of 99.94% and is one of the first major electronic commerce shops. It enabled strangers to transact with each other over the internet. It still does. Zynga was growing incredibly rapidly as an early adopter of Amazon AWS. In 2009, the Zynga game Farmville launched, and in just a few weeks, the game went from 0 to 10 million daily active users. A few months later, it rose to 80 million daily active users. 7 years ago, I joined as a BSIM practice leader. For folks that may not be familiar with BSIM, BSIM stands for Building Security in Maturity Model. It is a descriptive model of software security activities. I highly recommend that folks check it out if you're interested. All of the data is free online at www.bsimm.com. What I did at Cigital was I had the opportunity to meet with more than 36 software security programs. And at each of those companies, meet with about a dozen folks and about how they do software security. I went back and I took a look at our model, which at the time had about 112 or so software security activities that were observed and documented, and I helped folks to kind of benchmark. So it was really cool for me to see how a lot of different organizations approach software security. Some of these organizations were operating in a waterfall software development model. Others were working in a DevOps development model. 4 years ago, I joined Cobalt.io. We are a pen test as a service company, and we build security software. Like many other DevOps companies, we have data-driven, product-based teams. We value automation and failing fast. A couple of my thoughts on DevOps. I think that the challenges are really twofold. Challenge area number 1 is cultural. Challenge area number 2 is procedural. So challenge area number 1, culture. We've got situations like historically, traditionally, engineering and security teams, maybe they're a little reluctant to collaborate with each other. Maybe engineers are a little bit resistant to security processes and technologies. Maybe integrating tools and processes can be very complex, as well as it has been difficult to integrate flow security processes with rapid DevOps cycles. Now, procedurally, because I work at a pen test company, I think a lot about pen testing. Procedurally, in waterfall engineering, where you have code pushes that are larger and less frequent, traditional pen testing works fine. In an environment where you see products getting a max of 2 or 3 updates a year, waiting for a few weeks for pen test results before each patch release, it doesn't cause problems, as Ron was saying, in the penetrate and patch model. However, this approach, it doesn't work anymore. For logistical reasons, for resource reasons, traditional pen test providers need weeks or months of notice in order to arrange a test. And so pen tests are seldom available on demand. And so these must be booked significantly in advance, usually once or twice a year. This creates considerable barriers to the effective integration of security within DevOps practices. Specifically, even with weekly code pushes in DevOps, a product could be 3 or 4 versions along by the time engineering gets a chance to implement pen test results. Sometimes code bases might potentially go through dozens of iterations between pen tests, and therefore it's likely that engineers are actually going to be introducing new vulnerabilities that are going to be active for some time. So what do we do? I actually want to talk a little bit about how I think pen testing specifically can be used by DevOps organizations. And I think the way that different DevOps organizations use a methodology like pen testing, on-demand pen testing, is different according to the security maturity of that organization. So for a low maturity team, low security maturity, pen tests can simply prove to system owners that their product is open to attack. For a medium maturity team, pen test results can be used to convince engineers that building scanning technologies into the process is a good idea. Nobody wants to be embarrassed when a pen test finds an issue that could have easily been found by a scanner. And so security should really be supporting engineering to embed simple scanners into the workflows to make sure this doesn't happen. At a higher level of maturity, the purpose of pen testing changes yet again. At this point, basic issues should be identified by scanners as part of standard engineering workflows, allowing pen testers to focus on more sophisticated issues. I think the last comment I want to make here is that, of course, pen testing isn't the only type of security testing. There are lots of different security testing tools and processes that should be used to identify vulnerabilities, including automated scanners and manual code reviews. So some tests are going to naturally fit into the pipeline and should be completed every cycle. Manual code reviews are an obvious candidate, but SAST tools are also fast enough to include. So some lengthy automated tests, like those performed by DAST technology and fuzzing tools, may not be fast enough to build into the DevOps pipeline. These kinds of tools are faster than a full manual pen test, but they could still take 12 or more hours to complete. So that makes them unsuitable for in-band testing. And so like pen testing, engineers can use these tools as regular out-of-band feedback mechanism and implement those results into future code releases. I'm also very much looking forward to the interactive portion of this, but just wanted to share a few of my initial thoughts, as well as share kind of my background so that folks know where I'm coming from.
The Cyber Strategy Retreat Executive Roundtable is brought to you by CLASS-LLC. This session, Injecting Security into Your DevOps Strategy, is made possible by support from our partners at Cobalt Labs, Checkmarks, and the National Institute of Standards and Technology. If you like what you hear, please follow CLASS-LLC online and at our social media channels to receive updates and announcements about additional sessions in the series. You will also periodically receive notifications about other Cyber Strategy Retreat content and CLASS-LLC insights. If you want to learn how to apply these principles in practice, the Cyber Executive Masterclass provides a deep review of cyber executive leadership that addresses strategic planning, DevOps, risk management, and a host of other business practices that support the successful execution of a security department. The next cohort of our masterclass starts on 23 January, and you can sign up online at Eventbrite using the link on the slide. So in closing, I'd like to thank you for listening, for sharing, and for providing your feedback about this edition of the Cyber Strategy Retreat Executive Roundtable, Injecting Security into Your DevOps Strategy. If you have any questions or comments and you'd rather not use the social media tools, please send an email to info@class-llc.com. This is a great way to submit feedback, ask a question, or request a complimentary consultation with our workforce development or professional services teams. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you at the next session.